Sound clap 1, sound clap 2, sound clap 3. Hey, it's been a while. Yeah. You know, yeah. Anyways, I haven't posted in a while. I think the last time I posted actual content for my YouTube channel was, I think, yeah. So otherwise, yeah, reason being, I've been busy. I've been very, very busy. Cue montage. So anyways, yeah. Other than that, let's get right into it. So this video, I'm gonna ease back into my workflow. This video is a reaction video. So there's this video that I found in my rabbit holes of YouTube. It's called it's from a channel called Church Reality Check, and it's basically Christian answers actor Louisa McDonald's atheist Bible questions, South African. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, MacG, yeah, Louisa McDonald is the guy who acts in South African series The Queen. So yeah,
will answer to what we know, what we don't, we will leave out. Okay, this is why you need all kinds of Christian apologists, because then they can answer to all these different varieties.
Just I find it as an interesting point. Uguti, there's different types of Christian apologists or apologists within any particular religion, but like I said, it's not a point really. It's just something I find interesting. But anyways,
speaking about God, why are you an atheist? Why I'm an atheist is simply because I'm not convinced that it's true, right? So, and
a simple, I think there's many reasons to why people would become atheists, or some people are just like, they're never introduced into religion at any point of their lives. Some of them, it's like, it's there, but do what you want. Abanye, it's like, and then, but yeah, I think his response that I'm an atheist because I'm not convinced of the religion. I think it's more a response to the question of what is atheism, rather than his own personal reasons why. But anyways, he might. Let me just let him finish.
Because when people ask you, like, do you believe in God? Often my first question is, okay, which one? Do you know what I mean? It's like, well,
yeah. So this man is anyways, yeah, that's what I was saying. It's more. I don't feel like he's answering the question in like why he's an atheist himself, like in terms of his own personal experience and how he came about to atheism, or if ever there was theism in his life. You get what I'm saying? It's more of like his responses so far, they're more to the definition of atheism, and then that one. What did he just say now?
Believe in God,
Oh, which one? yeah, that's something I hear a lot from. I feel like I learned that response from what's this guy's face, Matt Delahanty. So, but yeah, let's listen.
Often my first question is, okay, which one? Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, which one? Because I want to have that conversation. I want to understand. Because yes, I've been surrounded by Christianity almost my whole life. And I was never really convinced with it. I mean, maybe as a child, when you buy into the Noah's Ark, you know, I think we all knew that story growing up. But you, and there's a reason why they teach it to kids.
Okay, I think I know what he's gonna say. Just an interesting point. Noah's Ark. I have a video I'm working on, based on Noah's Ark. But yeah, it's coming.
What's the reason? Well, because
I'm interested.
Oh, and another thing. Like I said, there can be a varying number of reasons to why people become atheist. I'm not sure if in his case, like he was ever like he had that journey of like, as a young chap, he was a theist, probably Christian, and then as he grew up over time, he was like had all these questions, and then well, for me it was just, I wouldn't say a complete accident, but it was like there was, you know, obviously when it happened, it didn't happen like overnight, but it happened. There was a brief stage of my life where it's like, cool, I'm gonna do this, and then I mean I do explain that in my previous video, so you check that out. But yeah, it's just interesting to note the nuances between the different reasons why people become atheists. But anyways,
In that reason too.
your critical thinking faculties aren't there yet. You
Is that why they teach it to kids?
can't think for yourself. You don't ask the questions.
Oh, yeah.
You as a child, especially a young child, you know, our brains only developed far enough to be told what to do.
Yes.
So don't touch that, do this.
Yes.
Do your homework, do that.
That's
Don't
it.
do that, do this.
That's it.
That's as far as the brain can comprehend. And then at that age, you tell kids that, you know, there's a hell. What is that supposed to teach them?
Accountability at a young age.
First point, your God. I'm pretty sure he's gonna. Okay, let's just listen. Let's just listen to the entire.
What is that supposed to teach them?
Accountability at a young age. Or if you teach adults about hell, they still have issues with it, and so
You know?
Okay, so let's start with what Luiso said. Luiso said something about basically what Luiso is describing or described is indoctrination. Yeah, but the reason why it's easier to introduce children into a doctrine. It's easier to introduce children than it is to introduce adults into a specific doctrine or a specific religion. Why? The common sense fact to Guti, children are more susceptible, like the brains are more malleable, yeah, but that type of thing. I'd say a Xhosa thing. I'd say a Xhosa saying, that has to do with that. But it's fine. It's fine. Won't even bother. But yeah, speaking to the reality of kids are more receptive at a younger age. People at a younger age are more convinced easily. Yeah, well, since growing, if a kid grows up being taught something, yeah, well, while their critical faculties aren't fully developed, aren't there yet, then they are more likely to follow that thing. It's like that bullshit thing people say, where it's like, nah, I will raise my children in whatever religion, then they will make the decision when they are old enough. Yeah, well, bullshit, because you convince them while they're at that stage of malleability, yabo, while ingqondo isathambile, yabo, you convince them, you do the things such that when they reach that stage of being able to make the decision is already pretty much set, you know. I mean, if you say, if you grow up learning ukuthi this color, this black color, if you grow up learning ukuthi this is blue, 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 once umdala, you've learned ukuthi this is blue, it's going to be very difficult to tell you otherwise ukuthi, you get what I'm saying? I mean, it's common sense, you know what I'm saying? Hell, accountability, damn, accountability. I mean, what accountability, the example I give with the notion of hell is that it's similar to extortion, if that's the correct term, I'm not even sure, but basically that whole notion of a drug lord or criminal or gangster criminal who goes to businesses demanding protection money, you get what I'm saying? That thing of like pay money so that we can protect your business. If you say no, what are they gonna do? They're gonna fuck your shit up, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's that type of thing where it's an ultimatum. It's almost like being blackmailed. You're almost threatened. That's the word. You're being threatened. That's the notion of hell to me, where it's like follow or you'll burn. Follow or you'll burn. And the punishment is the same no matter what your transgression is, no matter what your sin is. So if I lie, the punishment for me is hell. If I rape and kill, the punishment for me is hell. It's crazy. It's nuts. But yeah, so the whole notion of you saying, Uti, teaching kids about hell, I mean, and then just brushing it off as accountability, it's what a joke.
That everything they do must come out of fear?
No, out of accountability.
I don't think this man knows what accountability is. Nah. It's fear. But yeah. Kachis, I know I'm calling him Kachis. Luis is right when he says, but it's out of basis of fear more than accountability. Accountability means knowing what you did wrong, nah? Understanding why what you did is wrong, and then making amends for it. You get what I'm saying? So teaching children what is right, or teaching people in general, teaching what is right and what is wrong, is about accountability, where you're like, okay, I fucked up. This is how I fucked up, and this is what I do in order for me to fix this, my fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That is accountability. So, and no transgression is the same, where it's like, if I steal, I don't know, if I break someone's phone, I messed up, right? I break someone's phone. How am I going to be accountable for that? I need to acknowledge that I broke someone's phone. Yeah, well, either, like say, I broke your phone, either on purpose or by accident. Acknowledge that I did it. And how do I intend on fixing that? Either paying for a new phone, or repairing a phone, or getting it fixed. Yeah, well, that is accountability. Similarly to, okay, but that might not necessarily apply to courses of morality. Okay, let me make a better example. Someone who steals, you rob a store, or yeah, how do you take accountability for that stealing? Acknowledge what you stole. This is what I stole. What am I going to do to fix that? Either pay back, or serve my time, serve my punishment. That is accountability, being accountable for your actions. Trying to...
So I'll only do the right thing if I'm scared.
You do the right thing because it's the right thing.
How is that a good...
That is such bullshit. That is such bullshit. Density. There are reasons to why anything is right and why anything is wrong. Sure, Guti, that might change and adjust over time. That is normal. That's how people evolve. That's how eras evolve. But there are reasons to why things are right and to why things are wrong. Something is not right because it's right. It's not wrong because it's wrong. But yeah.
Good teaching. You do the right thing because you do the right thing, right?
When did you start questioning that, bro?
And truth is not subjective.
And
right?
which religions have been exposed to Christianity?
I mean, growing up in Durban, you're exposed to Islam, you're exposed to Hinduism, you're exposed to Christianity, obviously, Catholicism being a part of that.
And none of them land.
So I hope he's not mingling, because he said Christianity and Catholicism associated with that. So I hope he's not mixing the two, because the two are not the same. Catholicism, the doctrines are the doctrines of the popes, which have come from there. It has nothing to do with the Christian faith. It is far off, as a matter of fact. That's why the Protestant movement happened. Okay, I hope he's not mingling.
None of them, man. I think that...
I think that's an irrelevant point, but I think it's a very relevant point to sort of try. But anyways, it's an interesting thing for me as a former Catholic. I think the general population of Christians understand Catholicism to be this way, where it's like it's sort of far removed, like it's sort of its own religion. It's an interesting thing to me, where the way I understood it, and I understand it to be, you have the umbrella of Christianity, and then you have all the different flavors. You have Catholics, Methodist, Anglican, you know. I hear what he's saying, where he makes a fair point, where he says Catholicism seems to be far removed from the actual doctrine, not the actual religion itself of Christianity, but that I mean what is in the Bible. I mean, there are a lot of rituals, a lot of rites, passages of rites, a lot of celebrations, a lot of things, customs that are a part of Catholicism, that aren't necessarily in the Bible. You find a lot of things like the prayers that are recited, that type of thing, like, hey, who came up with this? And he does make a fair point. It's like it's from the popes, where it's like it's the popes, it's the Saint Paul, Saint whoever, Saint this guy wrote this prayer, and now we celebrate this feast. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a fair point,
They all fell short in the same way. Is that you look at, we'll use Christianity here for example. Like some of the stories, you go, that can't possibly. Noah's Ark didn't happen.
It didn't happen, or you don't believe it.
It didn't happen.
That to be an interesting direction for the question. If you say it didn't happen,
it didn't. Ooh. It didn't happen.
You've created a conclusion about what the Bible says is a historical thing, and so
it doesn't matter what the Bible says. We have recorded history. We have historical evidence, we have scientific evidence. In fact, my video will tell you, or my video will disprove to you why, using basic math, but it's not what I have a video in the works giving one of the reasons to why, not only why it didn't happen, but why it is impossible for Noah's Ark to have happened. But yeah, bottom line, it didn't happen.
So whether you believe
Okanye, if you for those philosophy buffs who don't accept capital T truths and claim or absolute claims of truth, there is no evidence that there is zero evidence of the occurrence of Noah's Ark.
it or not, if it's a historical thing. But anyways, we differ from that. Okay.
You know what historical thing we have evidence for that isn't in the Bible? Dinosaurs.
I come from a home where you don't just do as you're told by anyone. It could be your parents, the government, anyone. You don't just do as you're told. You ask. And
Why?
and get to a point where you understand. The problem is we skip that step, I think, a lot of the time. We're so used to being told what to do that we almost look for people to tell us what to do.
Is that pastors or the Bible?
So we want people to tell us what's right and wrong without asking for ourselves, well,
Why?
is it right?
You know, very interesting parallel I draw with my life in that I wouldn't say I was raised in like as I wouldn't say I was raised in like a free, I won't say free, what's the word I'm looking for? Free range? I don't know. But I'd say my parents weren't as, you know, I'm fortunate to have parents, even though they are religious, but they gave they gave me the freedom, they gave my brother the freedom to find yourself, express yourself, you know, even though as it pertains to their religion, I grew up in, you know, the religion, but there was never a sense of this is this. If ever one day you decide and tell me that you no longer follow this religion, you're getting kicked out of my house, there was never ever that thing. You get what I'm saying? You know, I mean, again, I was terrified when I became an atheist. I was terrified of coming out to my parents, but you know, when I eventually did, it was like, cool, let's talk about it, you know, let's have discussions, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, I know other people where it's like super religious. It's a sad thing, you know, where it's like anyways,
If you're using yourself, then if you're asking yourself, then what is the standard? Like, you have to establish first a standard. I'm not opposing his method of critiquing truth. I'm saying you have to, you yourself as an individual, you have to have a standard by which you examine what is true. And so what do you use to examine whether something is true?
okay, let me take a crack at answering that question. What is the standard I use to establish somewhat what is true and what is not? Yeah. Epistemology. Basically epistemology. Just went blank. Basically, you know, there's a number of things, but generally, to a good way, the most reliable way we have to decipher what is true and what is not is to use scientific method, methods of skepticism, where, for example, testimony doesn't make a testimony doesn't make something true. Something, yeah, I'll maybe put up like a graphic somewhere here that shows like the steps of the scientific method or something like that. I don't know. But, you know, things like where can, if something is true, do we have evidence for it? Can a claim be verified? Is it falsifiable? Can it be demonstrated to be true or false? What would need to happen in order to prove that this is true or this is false, you know? So for example, let's talk about discussion I had recently, witchcraft. If a discussion I had, a friend of mine said, so there was this lady who was bitten by a cow, ended up dying in hospital, you know? So the report on it from a news blog or whatever that I read at the time had said Uguti, they suspect Uguti the cow has rabies, right? But they still needed to test, you know? And so they suspected Uguti the lady died later in hospital because of rabies. So this friend of mine was saying, nah, this was witchcraft. They said, nah, this is witchcraft. Basically, a family did witchcraft on the cow so that the cow would bite the lady, and the lady would die, yeah, well, such that it wouldn't come back to them. Yeah, well. And then the other claim is that the cow had rabies and it bit the lady, and then the lady died later. Yeah, well. So at face value, like, the investigation hasn't been concluded. Both don't know for sure, right? Both of them don't know for sure. So, because the investigation hasn't been concluded. But anyways, on the one side, let's start on the witchcraft side. If that's a claim, cool. How do we decipher that that is true? Is there a way to test it? Nope. Oftentimes, claims that have to do with witchcraft or superstition have no way to be tested. It only serves as a claim that can only be proved false. Whenever you find something, goalposts usually shift. You know, So if you can't prove it, you know, what would need to happen in order for me to prove it true? What would need to happen in order for me to prove it false? If there are no parameters for that, then the claim is unfalsifiable. Yeah, well, it is on the same basis as saying, what you know, the lady was struck by lightning that was fired by a unicorn from the unicorn's butt. Yeah, but you know, we can't see the unicorn. Yeah, so there's no ways of us ever knowing for sure. You know, because that's literally that's similar to what he said. Where it's like, they did the witchcraft in such a way that they would never ever know for sure. So how the hell do you know? You know what I'm saying? Simple contrast where on the side the cow has rabies with the lady. How do we test that to be true? Test the cow, test the cause of death, like a post-mortem or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I think I went too long into that, but you know, simple things on how I think maybe I have a video on how linked up here somewhere, but anyways.
Is it because it feels right for you? Is it because it fits within your model of understanding? That
feelings. There's a reason why scientists, you know, the field of science, where it be archaeology, physics, astrophysics, biology, all of them use tools. They use tools for the simple reason of what human beings are fallible. By right, I'm supposed to be wearing glasses right now, but anyways, our senses fail us. We hear things. Abanye abantu are schizophrenic. People wear hearing aids. That type of thing. We use tools that don't have biases. Tools that are fine-tuned to dictate things that are out of our range. Our sight is so limited, so we can't even see, that type of thing. So feelings, you put them aside. NCT truth, facts of NCT, facts and truths. The facts don't give a shit about how you feel. Yeah, well, facts is facts. You get what I'm saying? That's why we use tools. Tools don't have feelings. Tools don't have biases. Tools are not fallible. I mean, you can use tools incorrectly, but tools themselves. Anyways.
That then will help you understand it. I'm not opposing what he's saying. I'm just saying, by establishing that, you help the conversation forward. All right.
That's wrong. I mean, you read the Bible. There's horrific things in there, man.
Horrific things. It's a history book. It has history in it, and so.
It is not a history. Okay. Oh, okay. Need to be very careful with words here. It's a history book in that one. It's a historical document. It's a document that can give you insight into culture, into the people's culture. Into the times, what people thought, what people believed, what people understand about the type of thing. What I do want to make sure of is that you don't confuse it with it being an actual historical, like a book of history, like a history textbook where you look, in 1905 this happened. No. Anyways.
You're going to have mankind's evils show up in.
Okay, wait.
Okay, let's hear some of them.
No, I mean, there's if you're gay, the punishment is stoning, hell, adultery. Only the woman is punished. Funny enough.
No, the woman. It's not only the woman that's punished. I think he might be using the text. I think it's John chapter number 8, where they bring a woman who was caught in the act of adultery.
I think there's two things he's trying to do here. One, if he hasn't said it, he's going to make a point to go to. This was just a depiction of how these people lived at that time, which would be a fair point. But the issue with the Bible is that some of the horrific things Loiso talks about is the fact that there's things like slavery, things like women being put under second class, that type of thing. Those are things instituted by the God, the deity of the Bible himself. So for him to try to make it as if it's just the people and how they lived at that time is being disingenuous. I mean, versus we could that there is no debate for that. Homosexuality, it's there. About Leviticus, Exodus, where they talk about the rules by which is how you treat a slave. Those are from God, the deity himself. So, bruv, please. And also the second thing, I'm not even going to go into depth of him trying to play off and making it seem Guti in the Bible women are like this.
The funny thing is that the Bible writes it exactly the way it happens. But they were not doing it right, because if you read actually Leviticus chapter number 20, verse 10, Deuteronomy chapter number 22, verse 22, this show you that both the parties should be brought forward. Now here they didn't bring both parties forward, which is why he says, he that is without sin amongst you, because remember there is what is known as the temple prostitutes that were there by the period of the rabbis and the schools of Shammai and Hillel, right? During that period of the schools of thought, by the time when Jesus came, there was something that is called the temple prostitutes. And so they didn't bring the man. And funny enough, Funny enough. Catch this. In Deuteronomy chapter number 17, verse 6, it actually says that you would have to bring 2 or 3 witnesses. And so they didn't have witnesses to begin with, which is not how you're supposed to handle it. And they didn't have the male there. And so it's not the woman only. So that one is dealt with. Let's move on to here.
But it's not. You see what I'm saying? He's doing what I said he would do, where he's doing what I said he would do, where he just paints it off as a thing of, nah, it's the people of that time, not the actual doctrine itself, but where you find the atrocities being committed under the deity's instruction. Yeah, well, the biggest example is Noah's Ark, but yeah, like there's a whole thing of how women, you mentioned the thing of the witness. Yeah, well, like for a woman's testimony, you need so many more witnesses than a man, that type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Sure, you could make the argument. I mean, there is the element of this is how people did it that time, and if that was the only case where it's like, it's only they telling how people were at that time, then you could make that argument. Yeah, well, but I don't think Loiso is making, or even if it does, I think the point is that the atrocities that are in the Bible are ones committed by the deity itself, where it's like, these are my rules. This is, yeah, well.
The other question that he also has.
Slavery is okay, under certain regulations.
No.
Yeah.
By in the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 22, it actually gives an example. There is what is known as a voluntary. Okay, so you would volunteer yourself to be
The word he's talking about is indentured servitude. Yeah, well, the bullshit argument that I hear all the time from my theist friends, where it's basically a way of trying to sugarcoat what is a block of salt. It's bad. You know what I'm saying? It's what the Bible explicitly states. It talks about the regulations, the circumstances under which you can purchase a slave. There's things like you can beat a slave, but don't kill them. You can beat a slave to an inch of his life, but you can't beat them. Do not purchase slaves from your own people, but from the other nations. Yeah, well, that type of thing. There are times where God instructs his chosen people to plunder and destroy villages, kill all the men, kill all the boys, kill all the women, kill all the cattle, take all the virgin women and plunder for yourself, keep them as, you get what I'm saying? So,
to be what we would call a slave. But in their period, it was for financial reasons. If I could not provide for myself and I need someone else to do that, there you go. I'll give myself as a slave for labor, basically. And after a particular period, I would then be released. But also, not only was it voluntary, there was also for debt, to paying off a debt. You see it also, I think it's in the book of Esther, I can't remember exactly. And which gives that example of people who owed someone and you were supposed to serve them for a particular year and period. That Exodus chapter number 22, the reason why I mention it is because it gives an example of a man who came with his wife. And it says if he came with his wife, he should go back with his wife. And so,
I mean, guys, he's basically trying to compare it, indentured servitude. Well, someone I know tried to make the explicit example of work, where it's like, it's no different to work, where it's like, what the fuck are you saying? Imsebenzini, at work, you go to work, you sign a contract, or whatever the contract is, you have stipulated hours, you go in, you work, you get paid. depending on where you work, which country, you have rights, you have that type of thing. Yeah, well, you're not anyone's property. Slavery, as it states it in the Bible, you are property.
By that period, debt, whatnot, you have to study it within the context. And for people that have studied the subject, they can answer that better. And so, when you have questions, wait so that you can get the answers. Don't just settle with the question because you end up teaching others. But anyways, so those are some of the questions that he asked. You guys can go check out the video on MacG's YouTube channel. He did this interview yesterday, or he premiered yesterday. So this is a Christianity show. We do daily Christian commentary videos. We do this on a multiple upload video days. Other videos, they will be down in the pinned comments, and I'll see you on it later on. Y'all be good, y'all be blessed. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of commentary. And so
yeah, that's the video. But yeah, I think one more thing I'd like to point out is that interesting thing of contradictions. They especially become apparent, the contradictions within the religious text of the Bible. They become especially apparent where if some things, if for example someone says Bible says this, or someone believes this and they say because the Bible says so, and then a person who is opposed to that belief will come along and say nah, the Bible says this here. I mean, there are resources where you could check, all different verses, the number of contradictions in the Bible, that type of thing. But it's an interesting thing, and what I see it often with issues of bigotry and sexism. Where it's like God created, where you have homophobes make the argument of Ma'ikse. You know what the Bible says about, homosexuals, and then cheeky people will like, but it says over here. I mean, sure, love thy neighbor, all that, but I'm still to find a verse that explicitly, what are some of the atrocities you find. And some of the atrocities you find within the Old Testament, people claim the New Testament. The New Testament, I'm still to find, like for example, for homosexuality, I'm still to find a verse that explicitly says that speaks the opposite of homophobia. You get what I'm saying? That says nah. In fact, for slavery, for example, I think Jesus says it in Matthew or whatever. It's like, slaves, love your masters, even the cruel ones. But anyways, but Yahweh too, what's in the Bible, it states in black and white. You can only backflip so much, can only do so much gymnastics mentally before you get on tape. But anyways, yeah, man, guys, I'll see you next time. Cheers. No, that's not how it sounds. See you next time.
Diamonds either shining VVS. Niggas around me always think I'm flexing. Yeah, I'm worried about my chick. Diamonds Eliatiated, froze around my neck. I ain't worried about no bitch, I got that money on my mind. Rollie on my wrist, but I ain't even got that time. Bitches temporary, I'm just worried about my slime. City full of snakes, yeah, they don't wanna see me shine. They don't wanna see me shine. She said she in love with my diamonds. Yo bitch in the car, yeah, she suck me while I'm riding. Jewelry on my neck and my wrist so timeless. They don't wanna see me shine, yeah. They don't wanna see me shine, hey. They don't wanna see me shining. They don't wanna see me shining.
Pull up in my hood with a check. All the blood sucking.